After returning from the Soul Society, Ichigo Kurosaki resumes his everyday life as a high school student in Karakura town. Lieutenant Renji Abarai arrives in Karakura, however, and Ichigo claims that Renji is his cousin to the surrounding onlookers. Later that night, Orihime Inoue has a dream about her brother Sora, and is drawn into a large gate while three mysterious people observe. After Orihime disappears, Ichigo, Renji, Yuryu Ishida and Yasutaro, Chad, Seido try to find her. A mysterious girl contacts Renji on his cell phone, and reveals that Orihime will return to her house at 8 o'clock. They find Orihime at that time, but she is an imposter. Chad is then taken by the three figures. After the loss of Chad, the caller instructs Ichigo, Renji and Yuryu to appear at the local museum for a continuation of her game. Once there, the museum turns into a looping maze with illusions and traps. Along the way, the group starts to splinter apart due to their irritation and desire to find their own way in the maze. As Ichigo and Renji start to walk off, Yuryu notices a limitation of the illusion and plots a way out. When they escape the maze, it becomes apparent that the three mysterious people are modified souls. Following this revelation, they make their escape, leaving Orihime and Chad behind. After leaving the museum, the group is confronted by the modified souls, who tell them that one of their core group has been replaced by an imposter, and they must find out who that is before noon, or everyone in their school will be killed. While out in the hall at Ichigo's school, he becomes suspicious of Renji, thinking that he is the imposter. He tells him to take it off. Ichigo means Renji's gigai, but he does not specify it. The class goes out to see what the commotion is about and find Ichigo and Renji in a suggestive position. As the group attempts to find the imposter, Tatsuki Arisawa, one of Ichigo's classmates, disappears. At the last minute, it is decided that the imposter was posing as Chad, but the modified souls had already kidnapped the students. Ichigo and the others begin the final game against the modified souls. The modified souls conjure a massive gate that consumes the group. After putting Chad into a giant hourglass, the modified soul Liren tells Ichigo and the others that they have 5 minutes to defeat the modified souls and save Chad. Ichigo manages to break the hourglass and discovers that Kisuku Urahara had planned this as a group training exercise, as well as to tell the group that Yuryu no longer has his Quincy powers. Meanwhile, Soul Reapers Yodishi Shoin and Sui Feng have been investigating the Bounce, a group of humans that consume souls for sustenance. Finding the remains of a soul, they rush away to the site of another attack, where Yodishi stops a woman from consuming another soul. At Urahara's shop, Kisuke discusses about the Bounce with Ichigo and his friends, and orders the modified souls, Liren, Noba and Kurodo, to accompany them. The group subsequently locates a pair of Bounce, Yoshino Soma and Ryo Odagawa. As Odagawa retreats, Ichigo begins to battle Yoshino, who summons her doll, Gerta, a familiar unique to each of the Bounce. Gerta overwhelms Ichigo with his fire attacks, and Ichigo is saved by Rukia Kuchiki. Gerta continues to attack but is restrained by Odagawa, who takes Yoshino and Gerta away from the battle. After the battle, Ichigo and his friends celebrate Rukia's return, and discuss the Bounce threat in Ichigo's house. The following day, Odagawa begins to consume the souls of the humans he encounters, and Ichigo and his friends begin to fight him. Elsewhere, Yoshino escapes from the Bounce headquarters, and is watched by the leader of the Bounce, Jinkariya. Odagawa manages to capture Yuryu, but Yoshino takes Yuryu away from him. Odagawa uses his doll to summon a wave of snakes, but retreats after Oruru Sumugia begins attacking him with her bazooka. In the Soul Society, Soul Reaper Captain Shinsui Kyoriko asks 12th Division Captain Mayuri Kurotsuchi about the Bounce. However, Mayuri refuses to show him the data and later discovers that it has been erased. Yuryu awakens in an apartment, where Yoshino tells him that Kariya seeks a Quincy in order to open a gateway to the world of the dead. Ichigo and the others receive a message from Yuryu and find him at the hospital. The hospital room then floods with water, which the group realizes is the dolls of unidentified Bound members. The dolls attempt to drown Yuryu, but Yuryu is rescued when Ichigo cuts the water dolls. The group attempts to flee and they encounter the two Bound members, Ho and Ban. As the rest of the group retreats with Yuryu, Ichigo and Renji fight Hoenban. I see. Hygo and Renji's fight with Hoenban takes them outside the hospital. Hoenban transform their dolls into massive pillars of water that swallow up Ichigo, Renji and Rukia as Chad and Orheim try to get Yuryu to safety. Giving up on drowning Ichigo and the others, the twins decide to go after Yuryu. Chad starts to fight the twins and separates them, causing their dolls to collapse. In response, Hoenban force Ichigo and company to drink their dolls, allowing the twins to rip their bodies apart from the inside. Ganju Shiba and Hanataro Yamada arrive, and Ganju uses his fireworks to destroy the dolls, killing Hoenban. As the group surveys the aftermath, however, they realize that Yuryu is missing. As Yuryu wanders aimlessly away from his friends, he encounters Yoshino again, who tells how the bounce longevity leads to the deterioration of their mental state. Meanwhile, Carrier informs the bounce that he has found a Quincy, and that he will lead them into a new shining era. In the Soul Society, 11th Division Captain Kenpachi Zaraki learns that Maki Ichinos, a former member of his division he believed to be dead, is alive. Ichinos, unknown to Kenpachi, has joined Kariya's bounce. Yoshino and Yuryu are attacked by the bound Gokoga, who summons his doll, Doc, a collection of metal balls that manifests as a humanoid spider creature. Following a short battle, Koga captures both of them and takes them to Kariya's mansion. Using the modified soul sensing abilities, Ichigo is able to track the bounce and travels to their location. In the Soul Society, Mayuri Haskell led a meeting of all the Soul Reaper captains and informs them that there is a traitor in their midst that erased items from his database. Kenpachi begins to suspect that Ichinos is the culprit. Meanwhile, Carrier attempts to gain Yuryu's loyalty by promising a better world for Bounce and Quincy, but Yuryu is suspicious of Kariya's intentions. Ichigo, Rukia and the modified souls enter Kariya's mansion and confront Carrier, demanding that Yuryu be released. While Ichigo begins to fight Udagawa, Rukia and the modified souls try to find Yuryu, but are stopped by Ichinos, who tells Rukia of how he became disillusioned with the 13 Court Guard squads when Kenpachi became the captain of the 11th Division by killing the previous captain. Ichinos leaves to protect Carrier when he notices Udagawa has stopped fighting Ichigo and attempted to betray Carrier. Ichinos kills Udagawa and begins to fight with Ichigo. As Ichinos and Ichigo fight, Ichinos relates his past as a Soul Reaper. As a member of the 11th Division, he was horrified when Kenpachi slew the previous captain, and attempted to avenge his captain by killing Kenpachi, who easily defeats Ichinos. Disillusioned, Ichinos left the Soul Society and encountered Carrier, to whom he swore his loyalty. Following this revelation, Carrier begins to fight Ichigo, overwhelming him, as Ururu begins to attack the mansion with her bazooka. Yodishi carries Ichigo to safety, and the rest of the group retreats. In the Soul Society, Mayuri explains the Bounce history to the other captains. In the past, the Quincy and the Bounce had a battle that the Bounce lost. Following this incident, the Bounce began to consume living souls to increase their power. As such, Mayuri concludes that the number of living souls attacked will escalate as the Bounce become more active. In Karakura town, Ichigo is depressed by his defeat by Carrier. Ganju and Renji both fight Ichigo, and after Renji lectures him, Ichigo realizes how unfocused he has become. Ichigo and Renji spend the entire night training under Urahara's shop. Elsewhere, Yoshino fuses with Goethe in order to increase her strength. She attempts to kill Carrier, and he easily defeats her. Following her death, he uses her body to create the Bito, insects able to consume souls. Due to the lack of Bounce sightings, Urahara decides that he and Renji should go and investigate the Bounce mansion, and sends Ichigo home with the modified souls to devise countermeasures. Liren and Kurodo wear special suits to trick Ichigo into thinking they are Bouncers to get back at but things go bad when Rukia falls for the trick and continuously attacks them across town. Liren, Kurodo, and Noba present a variety of ideas, but at the day's end, none of them are able to produce an actual anti-bound device. In Karakura town, humans are being attacked by the Bito, which suck out their souls and reduce their bodies into dust. They then return to the Bounce and Pravid. aid them with purified souls to drink in order to increase their power. Members of Sui Feng's 2nd Division attack the Bito, but they cannot damage them. 10th Division Captain Toshiro Hatsugaya order RS Soul Reapers to enter the human world, noting that they cannot rely on Ichigo alone. Meanwhile, Renji defends a human boy against a Bito assault. After the bounce consume the power of the Bito, Karia tells the bounce to test their new powers while he retires to his room. The Bound Yoshi attacks Rukia, Oraheim and Kurodo while they are on their way to help Renji. Meanwhile, Ichigo is attacked by Koga and his doll Doc, which ensnares Ichigo in a metal net, and Ichigo's inner hollow takes over his body, allowing him to defeat the doll easily. However, before dealing the final blow, Ichigo manages to regain control of his body, and subsequently collapses from exhaustion. As Koga tells Doc to finish Ichigo off, he is reminded of Kane, a young Bound he once mentored. In a flashback, Koga remembers when he first met Kane, and taught him how to summon his doll and live with another Bound. However, the doll Kane created was too powerful for him to control and destroyed him, an incident Koga continues to regret. As Doc prepares to deal the final blow to Ichigo, 3rd Division Lieutenant Izuru Kira arrives and fights with Doc. Using the Shikai of his Zanpakuto, Kira attacks Doc, increasing her weight with every strike. Eventually, Doc is rendered unable to move, and Kira begins to battle Koga. Meanwhile, Yoshi is overpowering Oraheim and Rukia, but her lack of cooperation with her doll causes her to miss a fatal attack to Rukia. The Bound Mabashi arrives, and uses his doll Ritz to enter Rukia's soul and take over her body. Using Ritz to control Rukia, Mabashi forces Rukia to fight Oraheim, who is unwilling to fight against Rukia, as she had traveled with Ichigo to the Soul Society for the purpose of saving her. 9th Division Lieutenant Shuhei Hisagi arrives and after learning of the situation from Oraheim, intends to kill Rukia. However, Oraheim manages to separate Ritz from Rukia with her abilities, and Hisagi defeats Ritz. Before Hisagi can attack Mabashi, Chinos arrives and retreats with Mabashi. 10th Division Lieutenant Rangiku Matsumoto encounters Chad, Ururu and Noba battling with the Bound Savatari, who summons his doll, Bora, a giant rock-like fish that is able to travel through solid surfaces by phasing into a different dimension. Due to this ability, Chad and Rangiku find it difficult to attack Bora, and Bora manages to swallow Ururu. Nagiku uses herself as bait to lure Bora out of the ground, and he is attacked by Chad, who sends him into Noba. Noba uses his powers to send Savatari and Bora to another dimension, but the pair manage to escape, injuring Noba. Despite his injuries, Noba teleports Rangiku and Chad to a distant location to plan an attack on Savatari. By linking Noba's ability to sense the Bound with her Kido spell, Rangiku locates Savatari and Chad punches Bora, forcing him to release Ururu. In the Soul Society, Mayuri has found the lost data on the Bounce and instructs his lieutenant, Nemu Kurotsuchi, to give an item to Yuryu. Elsewhere in the Soul Society, an intruder manages to enter the Sireti, the Soul Reaper fortress. Afterwards, Genrusei Shigekuni Yamamoto, the captain of the 1st Division and leader of the 13 Court Guard squads, summons 6th Division Captain Byakuya Kuchiki. After defeating the Bounce in their respective battles, Ichigo and his friends regroup at Urahara's shop will aid the Soul Reapers that came to the human world head towards the Bounce hideout. The Soul Reapers are accosted by the Bound Ogaki, who uses his doll Giselle to separate the Soul Reapers and begins to defeat them individually with Giselle. In the Soul Society, Yamamoto informs Byakuya that Mayuri is suspected of treason and requests that Byakuya give him any records the Kuchiki clan has of the Bounce. Ichigo and Renji arrive at the mouth of the cave and are quickly surrounded by Giselle, which takes the form of a large group of small, one-eyed flying creatures. They meet Rangiku, who tells them to destroy anything that can cast a shadow, and they manage to defeat the creatures. However, they forget that their own bodies can also create shadows, which is what Ogaki uses to bring forth 2 sword arms. Luckily for them, Hisagi and Kira come to help. Meanwhile, Yuryu is visited by Nemu, who proceeds to attack Yuryu to confirm that he has lost his powers. Nemu then gives Yuryu a Quincy battle accessory to allow him to use his powers. As Ichigo and Renji travel deeper into the cave, they find Yumichika. Ogaki summons the true form of Giselle, a large black, humanoid creature. Giselle throws Yumichika's body at Ichigo and Renji. But Renji manages to catch Yumichika, who is still alive. Renji uses his Bankai to battle Giselle, and Ogaki loses control of his doll. Ogaki asks Kariya to save him, but Kariya refuses. Watching as Giselle causes the cave to collapse upon Ogaki, Ichigo manages to escape from the debris and finds Kariya and the other Bounce. Ichigo begins to battle Kariya, who deals with Ichigo effortlessly. Kariya informs Ichigo that they never intended to connect the human world to the world of the dead, but rather to the Soul Society in order to destroy the Soul Reapers, who created the Bounce. As Kariya is about to stab Ichigo with his own Zanpakuto, Ichigo grabs it and stabs himself with it, forcing his subconscious into the world of his Zanpakuto, Zenjutsu. After a discussion with Zenjutsu, Ichigo returns to reality and uses his Bankai, which enables him to fight evenly with Kariya. Yuryu arrives and uses his powers to open the gateway created by the Bounce into the Soul Society. When Kariya thanks him, Yuryu informs Kariya that he did so to defeat the Bounce in the Soul Society.